Don't be gentle, it's a rental. Yep. It's a sad day, because today is my last full day with the new ZR2. Chevy's coming to pick it up tomorrow. So today we're going to do some hauling tests with it. We got my dump trailer loaded up with trash. We got to take to the dump. It's actually been sitting here loaded for I think a week now. I've been waiting to do it with this truck. And then we're going to go pick up some gravel, haul back to gravel over here where we park the heavy wrecker. So towing back, we're going to put about 8,000 pounds of gravel in the trailer. Trailer weighs about 4,500, 5,000 on its own. So we'll have a good bit of weight back there. So it's not all rainbow dust and unicorn farts with this truck. There are some negatives to it, and we're gonna go over that too, especially once you get into like the work truck side of it. So yes, it has some drawbacks, but what truck doesn't? One of them being, you see I stuck my magnetic strobe light up there so we could use it when we're doing traffic control stuff. And this is probably one of my biggest complaints with this truck. Nowhere in this truck is there a 12-volt power socket. They removed them. All you got is USB-A and USB-Cs all over the place. There is 120 volt like 3-pronged house plugs in the center console there and one in the bed back there. But the lack of a 12 volt power plug is the biggest freaking pet peeve of mine. Chevy, do better. To run my light up there, I put the EcoFlow in here. I'm running off the EcoFlow. Where the heck did the EcoFlow go?
I don't know actually.
I think I might have put it over there. Either way, I've been having to run the EcoFlow in here to run my light up there. My magnetic tow lights that I use when I'm towing stuff like dead trailers and crap like that don't have lights, they use that socket. Fridges. I run a fridge in every vehicle I own. How would I plug in a fridge in that truck? You can't.
I don't know.
Well, you could run it to that 120 volt thing, but that's not the idea of it.
But still, that's not the whole point.
They're supposed to be 12 volt fridges. Yeah. So like, if I own this truck, I would have to wire in one of those 12 volt plugs. Think of, this is a work and play truck.
Right.
Think of going hunting, going camping, something like that. How do you air up your air mattress?
With a compressor.
What does it plug into?
One of those 12 volt dinguses. Yeah.
Yep. If you don't have the fancy Morrflate tire inflator, people a lot of have those you know, little tire inflator packs.
Right.
What do they plug into?
Usually a 12 volt outlet.
So how would you fill up your tire?
Yep.
Oh, I lost a valve cap, by the way. Sorry, Chevy. Bill me for it. So the lack of a, see that I hate when manufacturers do stuff like that. That is such a simple thing to have in a vehicle.
It's just,
they had to actively remove it from the vehicle because all the other ones had it.
Maybe they had a checklist of things.
And that just didn't make it.
It didn't make it.
That 14 cents just put this over their budget. Yep. But like, that's a pet peeve of mine. Leave the freaking power adapter in there. No, there's so many things that still need them. Not everything is USB-C and crap now.
It's a good point. It really is a very, like, that is, I think that is something that'll probably get overlooked in other reviews. But
yeah.
Like, that's the little stuff that actually matters in day-to-day life.
Yeah, because like that's gonna be such a pain in the ass. Like I said, my tow lights, my light bars, my fridges. Like, you okay? Take this truck camping again. Like, how you gonna inflate your air mattress?
Right.
How you gonna power your fridge? All that stuff, like tire inflators, all that plugs into that. And there's so many other things that use those plugs still. Like, those plugs are not obsolete yet. No. Leave them in the damn vehicle, because now if I were to buy this, I would have to add that.
Right.
Which means I'm pulling dash panels apart. I'm drilling holes in this brand new fancy dash. And we screwed with this dash yesterday. So it is like solidly put together. Yeah. Like, there's going to be no rattles in this thing for a very long time. But now you'd have to go drill holes in that and pull that apart and cut into wiring and stuff like that on this truck, which I wouldn't want to do. But I would have to run the stuff I need to run and what most people would need to. Chevy, put them back. One other drawback. So it's not as much of a drawback as I thought it was. Yep. It doesn't have a front locker. Yep. It has a rear locker, no front locker in the 2500 HD ZR2s. The Bisons do, the smaller ones, the Colorado ZR2s, they all have it. This doesn't. I kind of get it because, you know, it's just under 1,000 foot-pounds of torque in an 8,000 pound truck with an IFS front end. I get it.
It's going to do one of these.
Well, here's the other thing though. I looked this up more last night. I looked up all the off-road stuff after we took it off-roading.
I figured.
So, everybody complained about, yeah, well, those Chevy tie rods and those Chevy those A-arms, blah, blah, blah. This truck, the A-arms in the ZR2 HD, this one, are specific to this truck. They don't, they're not the same ones that's in the standard Silverado. Okay. The steering knuckles are specific steering knuckles to this exact model.
To the ZR2.
The shocks and suspension, you see adjustable suspension, remote reservoirs there.
Yeah.
All that is specific. The steering tie rods all specific to this truck. They don't share those parts with the standard Silverado.
Yeah, those are bigger tie rods than what I'm used to seeing on these trucks.
I also said it had 33s, it has 35s.
Yes.
Yeah, so all of that is beefed up. So two things there. One, the whole front end is beefed up over your standard Silverado.
Sure.
So number one, if you have a standard Silverado, you can get off the shelf extra strength parts for the front end if you need to. Yes, because the skin all bolt in the same.
Right.
Number two is that diff in there uses brake lock differential.
Oh, does
so
it?
if you put it in off-road mode,
okay,
which I didn't do when we were off-roading.
Yeah.
I ran the whole thing in normal mode. And then afterwards, realized it has off-road mode, which activates the brake lock differential in the front. So when one wheel starts spinning, it applies the brake to that side and powers the other wheel like a locker, but without being so rigid like a locker that it breaks stuff, like we just did in that right there.
When's that video going up?
Saturday. I'll know it's before. They might have already seen that video by the time they see this video.
Gotcha.
Actually, I think they will have.
That's a good video.
But yeah, neither of these videos are posted yet because obviously we're still filming this one.
Yes.
But I think by the time you see this, you'll see that where we blew the front end in that one because it has a rigid locker in the front and it didn't hold up. So
it reminds me of what your Jeep has.
And it works.
Karina's Jeep, yeah.
Yeah, that brake lock differential does work. So how that works is when one tire starts spinning, it applies the brake to that one, which powers the other one and forces it to go. It's kind of like a soft locker.
Gotcha.
Is it as rigid and solid as an E-locker like in the rear of this thing?
I use a similar technique.
By riding the brake?
By riding the brake, and it tricks your differential by applying even pressure.
That does work, but it also is applying brake to the one that you're wanting to spin as well.
Right.
Where this one is applying brake only to the one that you don't want to spin. So it would have done so much better.
Yeah, technology ain't so bad, huh?
It would have been so much better if I would have put it in off-road mode.
There you go.
That also changes the shift points, the throttle response, all kinds of other stuff to help with off-road. I didn't do that. So yes, it doesn't have a front locker. That is kind of a negative. You can get front lockers for them aftermarket. And it does have beefed up front end parts. So I don't think that's the negative that I originally thought it was. I think that's actually pretty good. Because what else happens when you have a front locker locked in?
You can't turn.
You can't turn, exactly. Where the brake lock differential, like with Karina's Jeep,
same
thing. That'll go wheeling up something and it'll do its thing and like wheel, but then you got to like turn sharp to get around a rock or a tree, and it does it. Unlike this thing, when it's all locked up, it just pushes straight and fights you. So I thought that was a negative first. I'm starting to think it's kind of a positive.
No, I think it's smart from GM because one, you have a bunch of power.
Yep.
And two, you have a bunch of traction up front typically.
Because that's where all the weight is in this Duramax truck.
Right. You know, all your weight's over the front end. And I think realistically, like GM's like, yeah, we're gonna see a lot less warranty claims if we don't put a locker in this.
If we beef up the front end and don't put a locker in.
Right. Yeah.
So we talked about front end and lockers, like I think it's a positive. I'd have to get a lot more time with it, like really wheel it, and actually wheel it in off-road mode, not street mode, to really see.
We can dump the trailer at my house and
go back out.
And go back out. It's not that
I mean, or Chevy could just give me a lot more time with this truck. That's an option too. Chevy, like if we turn this week-long loaner deal review into a year-long one, I wouldn't be mad. Okay, well, one, we've been doing a lot of talking. It's time to go drive the truck. Two, we forgot my daughter's tennis shoes. Sent her to school this morning, only has her snow boots, so we got to go drop off Riley's tennis shoes at her school, then go dump the dump trailer. Then we'll go load this thing with some weight, and we'll stop talking about stuff and start doing stuff. Okay, so we hooked up the trailer. Now it's giving us options of setting up our trailer. You can. We already had to name the trailer, which we named it.
What's the name, Casey?
We'll see. Now you tell what type of hitch it is. It's a conventional boat, cargo, livestock, travel, utility. It's a utility trailer. Trailer blindside zone alert. Also, those cameras in the mirrors. So like this thing has little lights up in the mirrors right there that when a car's in the blind spot or pickup, lights up. So if you glance into your mirror, you see a bright lit up thing in the corner letting you know there's a car there. Apparently this extends it back to the trailer as well. The trailer has 2 axles. You don't have to do all this. You could just like drive off, but like a normal truck, but you can configure your trailer if you want to. It is the center point coupler furthest rear. It's probably what, 20 feet? It's a 14-foot trailer plus the tongue.
Yeah,
no, 18.
That's it. Yeah, probably
4-foot tongue, 18. 18. Now from the hitch point to the center of the ball, this is for all of its stability stuff, so it knows how much swing and also like going around a corner if you're going to clear, stuff like that. So because it'll know how long this hitch is, so that's how much tail swing your truck's giving it.
Gotcha.
And then from the center of the ball to the rear of the trailer, it knows how much it's going to cheat into a turn, so it can warn you in your cameras.
What's that? Probably 4 or 5 inches, somewhere in there.
I'd guess more like 7.
Oh, from the center of the pin?
I think from the end of the hitch out.
Oh, okay.
Towing assist, tire pressure, trailer. So this is one thing that's kind of cool, I think. You can set up your trailer in here, and when you hook to that trailer, you say which trailer you have, it tracks the mileage on your trailer. So greasing hubs, checking brakes, all that stuff, it tracks trailer mileage and set up some maintenance reminders for your trailer. That's cool. We're not going to do it. It can give you a checklist so you can do a pre-trip. Oh, so for like me, with a business that does transportation where we have to do pre-trip inspections and all that stuff, your truck can do it. And you can add in custom stuff if you want. That's cool. So if I had you driving this truck, hauling, like pulling gooseneck, doing like hot shot type stuff, you can do your pre-trip check on the trailer right here. So you can, oh, you can do a light test. Hold on. So it's gonna do, get out. It's gonna do right turn, left turn, running lights, reverse lights. Okay.
Okay.
Left turn, right turn, running lights, brakes. And look, the truck's doing it too.
Very
so you're
cool.
able to check all your lights by yourself.
That's very cool.
Let's go. I do wish the map had satellite view. That is one thing. We can't get a satellite view in the map. I'm sure there's a hacker who can, but we don't have that option. I can watch my trailers swinging out here. I can see I'm about to hit that pallet right there. So if I go to that mode, I can watch this front tire miss the pallet. Now go back to the trailer. We can see what's around us here. Now, if we had the other camera, I guess it would show the trailer. There'd be a camera on the trailer that we could see. Pretty freaking cool. I haven't looked out the mirrors or the back window once backing this thing out of here. So this is the passenger side tire, this is the driver's side tire, so you can like spot yourself. Pretty cool. All right, let's go. Okay, so if I turn on my blinker, it turns on the camera to that side so I can watch my trailer and make sure, like I don't need to use a blinker in a parking lot, but now I can see my trailer missing the curb. Now I turn on my blinker to go this way, it turns on the other side. So you turn on your blinker to change lanes, whatever, it shows you everything next to the truck and trailer, and then also lets you see as you make the corner. So that's pretty cool. It didn't do that in normal, didn't do that till the trailer was plugged in.
It's pretty spiffy, man.
That's handy. My RV does that too. When you turn on the blinker, it shows you, it switches the rear view camera to a down the side of the RV camera, which is handy. So we can see our trailer. See if there's nothing next to us we're going to swing into. Very handy.
Pretty neat. Casey, what's going on here?
I don't know, the bus is pulled into the dump and throwing things out the door. I could sit here and people watch at the dump all day.
Oh, it's seriously entertaining.
Yeah.
Alright, Casey, this is it. Don't get scared.
Yeah. I don't know how to back up.
Me either. Pretty spiffy stuff there, Casey. Backing up real good like.
The guy backing me up kept giving me one of me like right next to his truck. I'm like, you realize like the doors have to open, right? So I wasn't listening to him, and he wasn't appreciating that, and that wasn't bothering me. So I went where I needed to go.
What's that?
I haven't go for this. I bought one, we just gotta hook it up still.
There you go.
Okay. I'm going to pull in here and get us some gravel. I like that loading ramp they just built to load their excavator. You see that?
This is innovation. So how's she pull, Casey?
Well, out of the driveway as far as we've pulled now, just fine.
Yes.
We're 21,500 pounds, did the math. So we could go straight home, but I want to drive up and down the highway pulling this thing and then go, so we'll go up to Redmond, around the whole back way through Powell Butte and all that way, and then back to my house out, head up to the desert from there. So we'll get some good highway driving, some country road driving. We go out Milliken and pull the hill. Let's should do that.
Yeah, we should do that.
Let's do that. Look, it hangs down far enough that it hits the plastic, not rubs on the body. I wonder if that was intentional.
I have no idea, but I'm glad that they moved their.
It has, look, it has the big filler opening too, so I could have used the big pumps over there.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. All right, we're going the super long way home, out through the desert and back to home. So I wanted to get some highway driving with this thing, with the full load trailer on it. Because my concern was, as soft as it rode empty, because like empty hitting the bumps, it was so smooth and soft over them. I was thinking maybe these off-road chocks that make it so soft would be kind of a little too soft with a lot of weight on it. But this thing is as planted, and so there's no bounce up and down, there's no sway. We're doing 70 miles an hour down the highway for quite a while now, and it's just, it feels solid, like it's not going anywhere. So now we're coming up to Horse Ridge, which is a big hill right here you can see. It's fairly steep. So we got the cruise set on 65, we've got the engine brake on, so we're gonna see how well cruise control takes us up. I think it's like a 6% grade, and then down the other side without messing with anything. See how much speed we lose up and how much speed we gain down at over 21,000 pounds. This is where I would be getting into the throttle if I was doing it.
Right.
But we're gonna let the truck do it.
Okay, throttle up already.
Yeah, it's already kicking up.
I don't know if you can see that very well.
Yeah, 64.
Okay, we just clicked another gear up.
So one thing, another drawback of this truck that Ethan pointed out, and I missed too, kind of going back to my lack of a 12-volt power plug for accessories and stuff and outdoor camping, there's no upfitter switches in it. And I get that this isn't the utility truck, but also the work play truck. You're gonna want backup lights. You're gonna maybe want some extra fog lights up front. You're gonna want all that. It has no upfitter switches, so to do any of that, you'd have to drill holes in the dash and mount switches as well. We're right back up to 65.
Yeah.
It's holding 65, no problem going up to 6% grade with no run up coming to it. But yeah, there's no upfitter switches in this thing, so there's nothing to tap into to have factory switches to run any other accessories. So that's a bummer too. If you wanted to, it is really like all your outdoor stuff, like kind of, I think they're missing the boat there, because that is the type of stuff this truck is geared for.
Right.
Going hunting, going camping, kind of having an off-road rigger, but also work truck. You want lights.
Right.
You're gonna need to plug stuff in to power and charge all that, and you don't have any 12-volt socket plug, and you don't have any extra upfitter switches to tap into, so you would have to drill into stuff. So that's a big negative, but the big positive is we're holding 65 all the way up this hill, and we're coming over the top.
Yeah, it found a gear and just stayed there.
But it didn't go way down in a gear.
No, I think we came down
2100 RPM. It didn't like go screaming up to 35.4 to pull it.
I mean, we're riding on a mountain of torque.
Yes.
So.
But also, when we head out Milliken Road, you know the big hill on Milliken, it's even steeper and longer than this. Yeah. I'm gonna go to a dead stop at the bottom of that and flat foot this thing up and see what it'll do.
Sounds good. Should get your temps and stuff up on the dash too, so you can see.
Yeah.
But yeah, that pulled nicely.
I'm impressed at how little it kicked down a gear.
Yeah.
Like
well, that I think part of that's due to the 10 speeds having such a close set of ratios. Does
Duramax have the 10 speed, or
this has a 10 speed? Okay. This is I think it's the.
This is the Allison automatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Allison 10 speed.
Okay, so here we go down the other side, and we'll see how the engine brake holds us back. It's not an engine brake; it's an exhaust brake. That's the difference. My big trucks have engine brakes. This has exhaust brake. So down the other side, just went up 66. and 67, and now it's kicking in. Oh, look at that.
There you go.
It's pulling us right back down to 65, 64.
Yeah, it does a nice job.
No problem at all. I had some force to it, so.
Yeah.
All right, we got a ways down the highway here to go, and then we're gonna get to the big hill that we're gonna just flat foot see what this thing will do up.
Sounds good.
All right, this is the steep hill. You see it dives all the way off into the valley down there. We're coming off the top at 55 on the cruise control, and I've got the exhaust brake on, and I'm gonna so just bumped up to 57. So it goes 2 miles an hour over your cruise control setting, and then it kicks in hard and just drops us back to 54. So what I'm gonna do to kind of screw with it, no foot on the brakes here, we are 4 degrees downhill, 3 degrees downhill in this spot, which is about 6%. And it's just holding. So I'm going to drop the cruise control down to 45. Holy crap. It just dropped us 10 miles an hour that quick on a 6% grade at 21,000 pounds.
With no brakes.
Without touching the brakes. That's some holdback power.
Yeah, no, we are crawling in comparison to what we were just doing.
Now we go off the steep part of the hill where it rolls over even steeper.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna drop it down some more.
40.
Feel that thing pull? It feels like I just hit the brake.
Yeah. That's pretty impressive. I mean, it's not like...
Because this is steep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like we've been thrown out of our seats. It's definitely a controlled
But it felt like
manner.
I put a good amount of force on the brake there. Hop out and stand right here. All right. And I'm going to come up the hill full speed.
All right, have fun. Bye, Casey. Casey's going to go zoom up the hill.
Okay, I dropped Ethan off in the middle of that hill. That hill is 7%, so we're gonna start from a dead stop at the bottom of it and just flat foot this thing and see what we can get to by the top with the loaded trailer. So we're gonna get up here, come to a stop, and then drag race it. Kind of. Okay, we are on the hill, which probably doesn't look steep at all because that's a 360 camera. It makes everything look weird, but we'll let that oversized load get ahead of us a little ways because he's going to go slow.
I don't think this does it any justice, but it's definitely steep. We got an oversized load coming up the hill, and he's downshifted probably 3 or 4 times already. I mean, you can see that it is steep. I'll give it kind of a reference here. SpaceX solution. Oh, here comes Casey. Mr. Super Duper. Oh, he's hauling the mail.
All right, let's go. Okay, we're rolling. Count the timer. We are 40. 50. Okay, we're on the 7% of the grade right now. I think it started out at 6 back there. We are at 60 right now as we passed Ethan.
Yep, he's cruising.
That's pretty good for that steep of a hill and that much weight. And we're still slowly climbing beyond 60, but we're also catching up to that oversize, so we're going to have to back out of it. Then where the hill drops over to a 5% grade, and now we're accelerating much, much faster, so we have to back off. We're 65, 66, and we're on the brakes. So I'll turn around, go back and pick up Ethan. That was good. Transmission got to a grand total of 189 degrees. Okay. We'd have been doing over 70 by the top of this if that truck wouldn't have been there. now we got to go down the hill and stop on the 7% grade at 21,000 pounds so we can pick up Ethan. So we're not going to baby it. We're going to put this thing up to some speed. 50, 55. We're going to see how much we can slow down our cruise control. Set. Engine brakes kicked in. There's Ethan waiting on the side of the road. Nobody behind, so we're fine. 7% grade.
If you had any doubts that Duramax will not move a mountain, wipe that off. Wipe that off your list of concerns, because that thing has some serious power.
7% grade, 21,500 pounds. Stopped. So my Ram is pretty tuned up from banks, not like as much as it could go, but it's got exhaust, it's got intake, it's got the pedal monster in it. It's done up pretty good from bank stuff, and that 6.7 still, I think at high speed going, my Ram would outrun this truck, but getting up to speed, this truck will just destroy my Ram. The other thing is, I spent a good bit of time. That's a fancy motorhome.
Yeah, it is.
The other thing is, I spent some time at Banks' shop. I got to do a whole tour of their facility down there, and they really like the Duramax platform because it's such a tough platform. And they had Duramaxes there pushing over 1,000 horsepower on the stock head bolts and head gaskets, or head studs, whatever you call them. And it was like, why are you still running stock head studs and head gaskets at over 1,000 horsepower? And the answer was so simple, because it holds.
Yep.
Like, we haven't killed one yet, so why upgrade it?
Yeah, it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Where you put 1,000 horsepower to that Cummins, you're going to be doing head studs, head gaskets, all that stuff. If you put 1,000 horsepower to the Power Stroke, you're going to have to do massive head studs and gaskets and all that stuff. So it's a tough block. Like, this engine block is tough. That's why they use it in all their performance stuff.
Right. And this iteration is the L5P, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And in the comments, you're going to see Ford fans are going to hate it because it's a Chevy. Dodge fans are going to hate it because it's a Chevy. If I'd have done this with a Ford, Chevy fans are going to hate it because it's Ford. People are so ingrained in the brand, it's like, throw that out the window. This is a good truck.
Yeah.
Like, the IFS thing, there's going to be people just totally hate on it because it's IFS. As far as straight out rugged toughness, no, IFS doesn't hold a candle to a solid axle. It just doesn't. As far as drivability and how nice it drives, no solid axle will touch how good this IFS drives. End of story, it just won't. There's a reason every freaking car out there runs IFS. Solid axle has the fundamental problem of you cannot make the axle and the steering do the same thing as they go up and down. You just can't, and stay all parallel. It's impossible. Because like my Ram with its radius arms, or the Fords or anything like that with their radius arms, the axle does a completely up and down like this and has its traction bar, panhard bar, whatever you want to call it, is moving at an arc, at an angle. So as that axle goes up and down, it shifts to the side some under the truck. You cannot make it not do that unless you go to a 4-link suspension. Problem is your steering tie rod is doing the same thing. So as that axle goes up and down, if the panhard bar, 3rd link, whatever you want to call it, and the steering tire drag link are in a parallel, they're doing the same thing. So the tires aren't moving, but the axle is swinging under the truck. There is no getting around that. Unless you go to triangulated 4-link, then it will move parallel, but your steering won't. Now as it goes up and down, it'll turn your wheels. It's just, that's how solid axle is. This independent suspension, the tie rods and A-arms and all that can be in complete parallel, where the wheels don't turn, and they are, yes, moving in and out as they go up and down, but they're doing it in the exact opposite of the other side. So everything one side is doing is counteracting the other. So there is no sort of changing your suspension geometry as your suspension moves up and down. So toughness, rugged toughness, no, this is not as tough as a solid axle, never will be. As far as drivability, a solid axle will never touch this. It's just, you can debate those back and forth all you want. Those are the simple facts of it. And if they can make this tough enough to do what this truck needs to do, and it makes it drive better, I think it's a win.
I agree. Now, Casey, I got a question for you.
What?
Where do you drive your truck most of the time?
On the road.
Okay. Now, which would you rather?
I'd rather it drive better on the road.
I agree.
Because that is it. It's even like the towing thing. If I were to buy this truck, I know that question's coming. Would you buy it? Not this one. I would buy the gas engine version. The diesel's gonna have more power. It's gonna get better mileage. All that stuff, great. But I prefer gas engines and pickups. A good part of that is bias from owning, I don't even know how many heavy-duty trucks over a decade, and dealing with diesel engines and diesel emissions and diesel repairs and all that in all these big expensive heavy-duty trucks over the years, that I don't want to deal with a diesel in my own pickup. So is the Duramax better than the gas engine on paper performance specs? Yes, it wins, but I just would prefer a gas engine in my own pickup. So it's expensive. This truck's very, very expensive. So this one right here, you're going to be somewhere between 80 and 100 grand, depending on how you option it out. That's a lot of money for a pickup. And there's a lot of people say, like, I would never spend that much on a pickup. Well, then you're not in the market for this pickup, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
If you're in the market for a new pickup, this is the price range you're going to be in, no matter what brand you get. If you want this type of trim level in a brand new pickup, that's what you're going to be paying. There's no two ways about that. So as far as it's crazy expensive, yes it is, but it's the price range you're in for all of them. So that kind of throws price aside. If I was looking at buying a new pickup, you brought up the very good point of where are you going to spend the majority of the time driving it? On the road. So I would probably want the better IFS that drives better on the road. It might not perform as well off-road. Cool, this truck's going to go off-road a very small percentage of the time compared to the time it spends on-road. So make it drive better. This thing it drives so freaking well. Now, another part of that is I've never had a new vehicle before. I've never had a brand new vehicle before, so that's probably another part of why I think this thing drives so good. But you can't get around the fact that IFS will drive better than solid axle. End of story.
Yep.
That kind of goes back to my like gas engine versus diesel thing. Pulling a load like this, is the diesel going to do better? Yes. But what percentage of the time you drive this truck will it be heavy like this pulling a trailer compared to the percentage of time that you're just driving the truck?
Not often.
Exactly.
I would say maybe in your use case 2 to 3 times a month.
So in my use case,
and maybe not even this heavy.
10% would be, I pull a trailer and tow a lot more than most people do, and I would bet 10% would be a high guess, I would think.
Right.
So 90% of the time, you don't need all that big torque power. The gas engine would be fine.
Right.
So it's going to go a little slower. It's not going to race up the hill quite as fast and all that. Fine. It's still going to get there.
Right.
So I would prefer the gas engine. It does have its drawbacks of the no power outlets. I would have to put power outlets in it, and no accessory switches. So I'd have to add that to it. But in all reality, that's not... It's a pet peeve that bugs me that I even have to think about doing that, but it's not really a big deal to do.
Yeah.
I'm not the type of person who's gonna freak out about drilling a hole in this brand new dash. Most people are. I'm like, brand new truck, who cares? I would do it. But it is a pet peeve of mine that I have to do it. So
I think it's a valid concern, Casey, because I mean, this is aimed at somebody who's gonna work and play, and I think as good as Chevy did elsewhere, I think they missed the mark on that. I genuinely do.
I agree. I 100% agree. If I were in the market for a brand new truck, this would be right up there at the top of the list.
I agree.
I would, of course, want to drive the other ones and really see, because like none of them are gonna drive bad.
No.
But this IFS is gonna drive better.
Right.
We drove this on super snowy, icy roads. Planted as tall as it could be. My wife and I used it as a run around town, doing our errands type of truck. Does great. Turns sharp. Maneuvered in parking lots, no problem. We've used it for towing now. We've used it for off-roading. It's done everything very well. The truck itself is a very good balance of that work and play, I think. And daily driver. Super comfortable for my daughter in the back. My wife up here, she can drive it just fine. It's got all the cameras for maneuvering around and stuff.
Yeah.
This truck I would take.
It's easy. It's easy to live with.
I would 100% consider this if I was in the market for a new truck.
So,
but I would test drive the others too and see which one. Like you said, those if the other one drives dang close to this, as good as this one does, but has power ons, upfitter switches, all that stuff already.
Right.
I might be looking harder at that one.
Yeah.
But
I think if all we're worried about is upfitter switches, 12-volt stuff, I think Chevy did a pretty good job because everything else is pretty.
I originally thought the lack of the front locker was a negative, but really looking at it now that I understand the truck a little better, and since it has beefed up control arms, beefed up steering knuckles and tie rods, bigger front end parts, and the brake lock differential in off-road mode, so that's not a disadvantage. I think that actually goes back to an advantage because you have that grip up front and you have beefed up parts at the same time.
Yeah, so you're not going to go kaboom when you do something silly.
Overall, I think they did an amazing job on this truck. It's a little bit techy for me, but that's just me. But also, if you're paying that much for a truck, you better get every freaking tech feature you could imagine.
Right.
And you have it available to you whether you want to use it or not.
Right.
There are those pet peeve things of mine as far as the power outlet switches, stuff like that. But like you said, that's minor.
Yeah, it's small potatoes. It's nothing you can't rectify. But you know, this is a $85,000 to $100,000 truck, depending on how you spec it. Come on.
I shouldn't have to.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's the little stuff.
Yeah.
And really, that's what makes the difference in this stuff is, you know, when a group of people get together and they're like, okay, we're going to lay out these things for a truck. And I don't think that it might have just been an oversight on Chevy's behalf.
No, it's not an oversight. They do not get that excuse because it was in the trucks and they removed it. It's not something they forgot to put in.
Well,
these trucks had it up to a certain point and someone made the conscious decision to remove them from the trucks. So no, they don't get an oversight excuse out of that.
Okay, so they willfully took away Casey's 12-volt plug, and now he's gonna go cry in the corner for the rest of his entire life.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know what happened. There's somebody somewhere along the lines removed it, and they need to go in the timeout zone.
You think I get a cease and desist letter from Chevy if I made a t-shirt that says Chevy, put it back, and then put like a little logo showing the plug? Yeah.
If all we complain about is some switches and some plugs,
that is my only serious complaint.
That's seriously it. Like, you know,
that is my only serious complaint about this
small
truck.
Potatoes. You know, at the end of the day,
the truck itself and driving and using and power and drive handling and the different four-wheel drive features, all that stuff, like, it's great. I love it.
Yeah,
I've been very happy.
Yeah, I've been riding Passenger Princess for.
You drove it before I did.
Yeah, I drove it around a little bit.
Traffic control with it.
I was doing traffic control. We drove out.
Let's use someone else's $100,000 truck to get a bumper and traffic.
So I drove it a little bit. Casey drove it a whole bunch more than I did. He's towing with it, obviously, and you know, so far, I'm impressed. So
it's quiet too.
It is. Yeah, we're having a very nice conversation.
The engine is
here.
quiet. The road noise is quiet. My wife commented on that as well. Of like, she's like, this makes my Jeep feel so clunky and old and janky.
That's because it is.
It's so quiet. Shut up, Toyota boy. Because this is so quiet and smooth that, like, on a long road trip, on a family trip, like, that makes a difference.
Yeah,
it does.
No, I think a good word for this truck is
comfortable.
Yes, comfortable, or also very much livable. This is not your standard work truck. This is not your standard off-road truck where you have to make that compromise. It's got almost everything you want.
Which brings me back to what I said in the beginning of this. Chevy, if you wanted to make this a longer term type of loaner promotional deal here, I wouldn't be mad at that. Like, I could put this truck to work and get a lot of use out of it and be very happy with it if you wanted to make a deal here. So, yeah.
I'd do that deal.
I'd do that deal all day long.
Hell of a deal.
So, that's going to kind of wrap up this. This was no sponsored thing. This was no paid thing. They literally just reached out and said, hey, you want to get a free truck for a week to try out and use as your own and have some fun with? It was that simple. I wish it was a whole lot longer than a week. And I had some fun with it. I got some work done with it. And I do really like it. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.